Welcome to Early Indicators. Today we continue our February domain on environmental tipping points with a theme that sits at the intersection of climate science, geopolitics, global trade, and indigenous resilience, the new Arctic reality. The Arctic is no longer a distant, frozen frontier. It is a rapidly transforming region where ice loss, shifting shipping lanes, and intensifying geopolitical competition are converging into one of the most consequential environmental signals of our time. In the language of this podcast, these are signals, and signals are structural, not events, early, not reactive, underreported, not mainstream, and directional, not episodic. They reveal deep, long-term shifts in the systems that govern climate stability, global commerce, and international security. To understand how we reached this moment, we need to trace the long arc of Arctic change. In the 1970s and 1980s, scientists began documenting early signs of warming in the far north, but the region remained largely stable. By the 1990s, satellite observations revealed accelerating ice loss, yet the implications were still treated as scientific curiosities rather than global inflection points. The early 2000s marked a turning point. Summer sea ice began declining at unprecedented rates, and the Arctic's role as a climate regulator weakened. By the 2010s, the region was warming 4 times faster than the global average, reshaping ecosystems, altering atmospheric circulation, and opening new maritime corridors. Over the past decade, the pace of change has accelerated further. February datasets, historically associated with peak winter ice, now reveal thinner, younger, and less stable ice cover. What once appeared as a slow-moving environmental trend has become a structural transformation with global consequences. Several forces converged to create this inflection. Climate change accelerated ice melt and altered ocean temperatures. Economic interests expanded as nations recognized new opportunities in shipping, energy exploration, and mineral extraction. Technological advances made Arctic navigation and resource extraction more feasible. Governance gaps emerged as existing treaties struggled to keep pace with rapid environmental change. Indigenous communities faced mounting pressures as traditional hunting grounds, cultural practices, and local ecosystems were disrupted. These forces reshaped macroscale systems such as global trade routes, military strategy, and climate regulation, while also influencing microscale systems including local fisheries, community infrastructure, and regional economies. Current signals show the shift with growing clarity. First, winter ice thickness, historically stable, is declining, revealing a loss of multi-year ice that once anchored the Arctic climate system. Second, new shipping lanes are opening earlier in the year and remaining navigable longer, attracting commercial interest from Asia, Europe, and Russia. Third, military activity in the region is increasing as nations position assets to secure emerging routes and resources. Fourth, indigenous communities are reporting changes in wildlife patterns, sea ice behavior, and coastal erosion that threaten cultural continuity and local food security. Fifth, scientific reports show that Arctic warming is influencing mid-latitude weather patterns, contributing to more frequent extreme events. These developments rarely dominate mainstream coverage, yet they reveal a system undergoing rapid transformation. Signal confidence, accelerating and converging. Here is where the shift is most visible. Along Russia's northern sea route, extended ice-free periods are enabling increased commercial shipping, reshaping global logistics and raising geopolitical tensions. In Greenland, accelerating ice melt is exposing new mineral deposits, prompting interest from global mining firms and raising questions about sovereignty and environmental protection. In Alaska, indigenous communities are facing coastal erosion and permafrost thaw that threaten homes, infrastructure, and cultural heritage, prompting discussions about relocation. In the Canadian Arctic, shifting wildlife patterns are disrupting traditional hunting practices, altering local economies, and challenging community resilience. These examples illustrate how the new Arctic reality reshapes systems at every layer. Nations must reconsider military strategy, trade policy, and climate commitments. Cities and regional governments face rising costs as infrastructure built on permafrost becomes unstable. Firms encounter new opportunities in shipping, energy, and minerals, but also new risks tied to environmental volatility and geopolitical competition. Communities experience cultural disruption, economic uncertainty, and threats to food security. Individuals face rising costs, changing livelihoods, and increased exposure to extreme weather. At the macro layer, Arctic transformation alters global climate systems, trade flows, and geopolitical alignments. At the micro layer, it affects local ecosystems, community infrastructure, and household decision-making. The fragility revealed is profound. Systems built on assumptions of Arctic stability are colliding with a rapidly changing reality. Future expectations point towards several trajectories. In the short term, over the next 1 to 3 years, winter ice will continue thinning, and shipping lanes will become more reliable. Nations will increase military and scientific presence in the region. Indigenous communities will face mounting pressures as environmental changes accelerate. In the medium term, over 3 to 10 years, new trade routes may reshape global logistics, reducing transit times between Asia and Europe. Resource exploration may intensify, raising environmental and geopolitical risks. Infrastructure built on permafrost may require costly upgrades or relocation. In the long term, beyond 10 years, Arctic transformation may alter global climate patterns, reshape geopolitical alliances, and redefine the economic geography of the Northern Hemisphere. Entire ecosystems may shift as warming continues, and new governance frameworks may emerge to manage competition and protect vulnerable communities. Early indicators to watch include winter ice thickness, shipping lane accessibility, military deployments, indigenous community relocation discussions, and investment patterns in Arctic infrastructure. Potential tipping points include the loss of remaining multi-year ice, the opening of trans-Arctic shipping routes for most of the year, and the emergence of new geopolitical flashpoints tied to resource claims. What to watch next? Pay close attention to regions where ice loss, shipping expansion, and military activity intersect. These clusters often signal where geopolitical competition will intensify first. Watch for early policy shifts, new international agreements, and changes in investment flows. These developments can reveal where the next phase of Arctic transformation will unfold. In summary, the new Arctic reality is one of the most consequential environmental signals of our time. It reshapes climate systems, global trade, military strategy, and indigenous resilience. It alters long-term trajectories by exposing the fragility of systems built on outdated assumptions about Arctic stability. And it offers early insight into where geopolitical and environmental pressures will converge in the coming decades. These signals are quiet, but they are deeply consequential. Thank you for listening to Early Indicators. If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, follow, and share. Your support helps bring attention to the signals shaping our future. This episode draws on publicly available information, including international think tank reports, academic research, public climate and policy data, open-source intelligence, and non-copyrighted summaries of global developments. No proprietary or confidential sources were used. This episode is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute political advice, financial guidance, or predictive certainty. All interpretations are based on publicly available information and are intended to support general understanding of global trends. Also, coming soon and introducing the Probability Brief. A new Evolve and Companion series is on the way, and it's built for listeners who want to understand how the world is being priced in real time. The Probability Brief takes the global signals surfaced in early indicators and examines how prediction markets, traders, forecasters, and crowd-driven ecosystems are interpreting them. Where early indicators focuses on structural shifts beneath the headlines, the Probability Brief looks at how incentives, sentiment, and market behavior respond to those shifts. This new series will explore how prediction markets react to geopolitical, economic, and environmental signals. What crowd psychology reveals about emerging consensus and blind spots. Where probabilities diverge from fundamentals. How major events, policy changes, and global disruptions are being priced. Which markets are leading indicators versus lagging reflections. Each episode will be concise, data-aware, and tuned to the rhythm of fast-moving information environments. You'll get clear explanations of what's moving, why it matters, how the crowd is interpreting risk, and what shifts to watch next. If early indicators helps you see the world's underlying trajectory, the probability brief helps you understand how people are betting on that trajectory, and where the disconnects reveal opportunity, uncertainty, or emerging consensus.